don't know, many people don't know who U.S. Postal Inspectors are. So the U.S. Postal Inspection Service is a law enforcement branch of the Postal Service. We're a separate agency, and our main mission is to protect our employees, our customers, and the integrity of the mail stream. So I'm a mail fraud. I supervise the mail fraud team in Chicago. We cover pretty much the Northern District of Illinois and then Wisconsin. So as part of my team's duties, we investigate crimes where people have become defrauded. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but some of the other areas that we cover are mail theft. When mail's been stolen, we take those reports and we investigate them. We also deal with the security of the post office, our facilities, just to make sure that the facilities are safe, that our employees are safe. And then we also investigate matters where there's items going through the mail stream that are prohibited. That includes narcotics, proceeds from narcotics, weapon. If you're not a licensed gun dealer, you cannot send guns through the mail. You can't send alcohol through the mail. Child pornography is another area that we work with our law enforcement partners in investigating. And then we also, anytime that, along with the safety, if an employee is injured or there's any kind of an assault, we investigate those matters as well. So it's considering people don't really know who we are, we do cover quite a bit of jurisdiction because the mail does touch almost every person in the United States on a daily basis. We're delivering on Sundays as well now with Amazon and express mail packages. So you usually will see a carrier out delivering 7 days a week now. So because of that, a lot goes on, and we just want to make sure that, like I said, that everybody's safe and that we're protecting the mail stream.
Awesome. I know you mentioned, some scams that you guys see, and also this kind of protecting the mail carriers aspect, which I think both probably tie into the different kinds of scams that you guys see and the problems that are arising around those. Would you mind kind of just talking through some of the most common scams that you guys see, and maybe how those are perpetuated, and why the protection of the actual carrier is a key element there?
So lately, this isn't a problem. Fortunately, we've seen in Wisconsin, but if you watch the news in Chicago, we've had a very big problem with our carriers being held up at gunpoint in some instances. And people are demanding either their, postal property, they're demanding the mail. And we've had a big mail theft problem here in the Chicago area. It's going on throughout the country as well. But there's a lot of valuable things that are in the mail. Obviously, we send, we deliver, a lot of people order online now. That's one of the issues that's happening too with the porch pirate situation. But also people are sending checks, and credit cards come to the mail. There's a lot of valuable things that are going through the mail, and there's criminals that are trying to get their hands on it. And unfortunately, our carriers now have been dealing with a lot of violence targeted at them. So we work with our local law enforcement partners, and we investigate those matters. But when somebody knows that their mail has been stolen, what we do ask, it's very important that you report that to your local police department, because once you reach out to your bank, they're going to ask for that police report number. And that's something that at the federal level, we don't provide a police report number. So even if a local police department is not going to investigate, they can still take the complaint and give you that number. And then you use that number when you follow up with your bank, because obviously if they've stolen money from your account, the main goal is to get that money back right away. And the quicker you can file that information with your bank, the quicker they can turn around and reimburse you if money's been stolen from your account or your credit cards have been compromised. But then we also ask, after you file the police report number, to call our 877 number. And that's something that I'll provide and everybody can get when we're finished here today. But that number is available 24 hours, 7 days a week. And we will follow up in addition to what the information that the police department may take. And we will work with local law enforcement agencies but we will take that investigation further. Sometimes people, I was mentioning to Courtney earlier, may call a postal service customer service line. That's not going to get an investigation started. That will track it within the postal service. But like I said, we're a separate, we're a section of the postal service, but we're separate. So we will actually investigate the matter and try to determine who stole the mail. And one of the best leads that we can get is information that we'll get from the actual customer whose mail was stolen. So if a check is stolen and it's cash, we will use any information from that check. We will issue subpoenas. We'll work with the banks. Sometimes these are groups of people working together. We may tie it into an organized group, but it's really important that we get the information directly from the postal customer, because without all of that information, we don't have any leads to follow up on. So again, file the police report, call us. And then we also sometimes recommend, or not sometimes, but we do recommend that you also start tracking your credit history report. And that's important no matter what, regardless of whether you've been defrauded in any way. It's really, you can get your credit report free. There's 3 credit reporting agencies. You can get one free report from each one of them once a year. And you can stagger it. So we always recommend, like, maybe every 4 months, go to each one and get a new one, and just make sure that there isn't anything on your credit report that you don't recognize. And then you can also you can monitor your report. So you'll get updates if there's anything new that comes up. If there's been any credit taken out in your name, if there's been anything unusual, you'll get an alert. And it's really easy. And again, it's free. So that's in terms of the mail theft. There's also mail fraud schemes, which is what my team is. We're dedicated to. Have a team that investigates mail fraud. So that could be anything from, I'll give very specific examples and what really I want people to be looking out for. So when you get solicitations through the mail, or you get phone calls, or you get emails where somebody is offering you, it's an investment opportunity, or it's a sweepstakes, it's a lottery, it's a work at home opportunity. These are all things that you really have to make sure you're doing your homework before you respond, before you provide any information. Another one that it is the #1 scheme that we have seen in the last 2 years increase more than any other scheme, are romance scams. And what we tell people is that when you're dealing with somebody online or on the phone that you've never met before, you have to be really leery. You have to really protect yourself, and you have to ask a lot of questions. And once you start communicating with people that are trying to defraud you, it's hard to get out of that relationship. Because once you're defrauded, they're going to keep trying to defraud you. So I'm going to provide some flyers too that people can take a look at. And it's important not just for the people on this call, because obviously I think because you're all on this call, you're all very aware, and you're all probably very informed, and you recognize these schemes when you see them. But we also ask for you to look out for your friends, your family. These schemes are really what we've seen in the past. They really are specifically targeting the elderly, but it's much more, especially with the romance scams. It targets people of all ages, all demographics, and people are dating more online than ever before. It's a common way to meet people, but you just really have to be careful when you're dealing with somebody you don't know. If anybody ever asks you for money or for your personal information, and it's somebody you don't know, you really need to just immediately raise a red flag, because there should never be a reason why somebody you don't know is asking you for money. And these, typically what we see is the person will claim that the reason you can't meet in person is because they're overseas, or because they're in the military. Or there's just a reason why they can't meet. And it always becomes another reason why they have to prolong. You make plans to meet, and then there's an excuse of why you can't meet. But in the meantime, they keep asking for more and more money. So again, we just really stress when you're haven't met somebody, when you don't know them, when you're, I mean, right now we're looking at each other. It's so easy to communicate and actually see a person online now is with smartphones. It's very easy. It's a click of a button. If somebody's refusing to show you their face, that should be a red flag. And, you know, a lot of times that's why I think it's so common to use the excuse that somebody's in the military, because then it's, you know, it's a top secret situation. The military doesn't allow you to show your face. There's all kinds of reasons. We've heard them all. But the bottom line is, if there's that, the request for money or request for your personal information, that's always a red flag that there's something fraudulent going on. And there's many ways that you can report that. And again, I'll give the 877 number. We have people too that you can talk to, not just us, if you feel that you've gotten into a situation that you can't get out of, because sometimes it does get really out of control and it's just hard to get out of the situation. Like I said, once you establish that relationship, these scammers will relentlessly try to reach you online, on your phone. They'll start making up things to scare you. And just know that most of these people are overseas. They're not, if they threaten you and say that they're going to show up or that the police are going to come, that's never true. We investigate these matters almost exclusively throughout our agency. We work with the FBI, we work with local police departments. These scammers are all overseas. Once in a while, there might be somebody locally, but it's never somebody that's actually going to come to your doorstep. They just want to get money. They're not looking to do anything violent. So again, we have many ways that we can try to help people. But the first step is just calling us and reaching out and letting us know that you think it, again, if not necessarily for you, but even if you know somebody, just to let us know. And also, if you get some type of a solicitation, even if you don't get scammed, you can always send it to us. You can send it online, you can mail it into us, and just let us know. I think this looks strange. I think somebody should follow up on it. And, you know, we do. We sometimes, even if we don't have somebody who's been victimized, we use all those complaints to either build patterns or to tie it to somebody who has been defrauded. So, you know, like they say, if you see something, say something. If you see something, say something, please. I mean, we really do make sure, like, in addition to investigating crimes, we just really try to prevent crimes from happening. Even so, that's why we try to do as much prevention and outreach as we can, but also just to get people the resources that they need. You know, once whether you've given $20 or you've given, you know, $1,000, we will take any information. And if you need to talk to somebody, we're available, like I said, 24 hours. One of the things too that's going to come up with the holidays, it's always, you know, people donate a lot of money during the holidays, or they're in a position where they want to give to charities. And these are all great causes, especially during the holidays. You want to make sure that, you know, there's so many great organizations out there. We just ask that, well, we really tell people to do your research, because you should always you should be seeking the organization you want to donate to. You should always be leery when you get a solicitation, because sometimes there's fake companies out there, organizations that might slightly alter the name of some of these legitimate organizations. So if it's like Meals on Wheels, they might create a company called Wheels on Meals Inc. And you don't even realize that Small Edition is a fake company. So it's really important that when you're, especially I give to a lot of organizations, and I just start getting bombarded at the holidays. You just really need to pay attention of who you're sending your money to. And like I said, it's always best for you to seek out the organization rather than respond to something you're getting either in the mail or, you know, a text or a call, especially the calls too. Like they always claim to be that they're helping, you know, law enforcement organizations at Christmas, or I just be very leery of any of giving money to an organization that you don't know much about before you research them. In terms of I brought up the porch pirate situation that has gotten pretty bad. So some of the tips, and I'm also going to provide a flyer to Lindsay too that you can access later. And it's very simple. It just gives you different tips. One of the things we say, and sometimes it's difficult if you're not at home, if you're working, these packages get delivered and then they're sitting there till you get home. So one of the things that you can do, and one of the things we recommend too, is there's a service through that you can access online. It's through USPS.com, where you can get informed delivery. So every day, your mail will be scanned, and then you get an image through your email of what you should be receiving that day in your mail. And it'll also show you a link if you're getting any packages. And so you'll click on the link and it'll give you more information. It's a really good service. And again, it's really easy to get. And that way too, sometimes there's service issues where a carrier might be delivering the mail really late, or they might, it says it's coming that day and it comes the next day. It's good too. We don't handle those kind of complaints. Some of the post offices are really short staffed, and unfortunately the mail's getting to houses later and later sometimes. But at least it's coming, and you can call and say, and if something doesn't show up too, you can follow up whether it's with your bank or whoever is sending you something that you're expecting. You'll know quickly that it was supposed to come and it just never showed up. And again, we'll take that information if you think something's been stolen at that point, we can investigate it. Also, if you're going out of town, you can easily put a hold on your mail. Very easy to do, and you can do that online as well now. You can actually reroute a package. So if something is coming and maybe it's really valuable and you don't want it to sit on your porch until you get home, you can actually have it redirected, and you can ask them to hold it at the post office instead of delivering it. And these should all be things that you can do online as well. And then also, one of the things we asked too, a lot of people now have Ring cameras for their doorbells. If, unfortunately, there is a situation where you see somebody stealing mail off of your porch, if you could please hold that recording. And when we talk to you, when you report it to us, we will, that video is really helpful to us to obtain it as evidence. And then we can obviously use that to follow up. But again, it's really important just to make sure that you call us to report it, and then also take those steps to try to either get reimbursed or, with a lot of these companies now, if you have reported it, they'll send you new merchandise right away. Obviously during the holidays, if you need something by a certain date, that doesn't help you if they send it to you, a week or two late, but at least that you will be reimbursed, or your item will be sent to you again. My lights went out, I'm sorry. Okay. But yeah, so those are the main tips that I wanted to share. And again, I will send flyers and links to Lindsay so that you can get all this information yourself, and also again provide it to other people, because there are flyers that can be hung up if there's like an area that I'll show you an example. This is the one on the online dating scams. They can be posted on bulletin boards at wherever, and we can send out packs of them too if there's ever another meeting where you just want them available. And they have the 877 number on them as well.
Awesome. I feel like you just covered so much ground. So I want to remind people you will get links and a recording to this if you need to listen back to some of that. I do also want to remind people that the chat and the Q&A function are both on. So if you have questions, go ahead and drop those and we can kind of get to them as we go. So I feel like we have covered, the common scams you see, kind of some proactive steps, and we've already covered what people should do if something has happened to them. If people are looking for more information or to dig a little deeper on some of these issues, is there a website people can go to, or what's kind of their best step there?
Yeah, so that's another thing that I didn't mention. So our website is www.uspis.gov. So again, you think of USPS, that's the Postal Service. We're the US Postal Inspection Service. So our website, yeah, it's right there, uspis.gov. And so you can also file a fraud complaint online if you want to file it that way. Or you can also file a mail theft complaint online as well. The quickest way to reach us, and also you can also go through the website and it'll get you to the 877 number. So yeah, that's always the easiest way if you forget anything. And then there'll be links on there too with tips and information on how to protect your mail. But yeah, it's just that website is available, and our 800 number is somebody's always available to answer it and direct the call anywhere in the country.
Awesome. So as part of this like webinar series, I just wanted to make people aware of AARP's Fraud Watch Network program. So Sylvia, this is kind of a break for you if you want to get a drink of water. I know you just talked about a lot of stuff. So the AARP Fraud Watch Network is a free resource for everyone. So we have a website at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. And you can read articles about all kinds of different scams on there. I know we had an article just at the top of the page today about exactly these issues, the mail and check theft, how to protect your packages. So we have like trending things there. You can also read articles about stuff like romance scams, which we talked about today. And we do also have recently launched support groups. So if you have been the victim of a scam, or if someone you know has been the victim of a scam, we recognize that there's an emotional impact that comes along with that. A lot of the times, you know, as Postal Inspector Carrier mentioned, there's, you know, sometimes it's only $20, sometimes it's $1,000, sometimes it's $100,000 that people are losing, which is a big enough impact as it is, but we want to help address some of that emotional impact as well. So you can find information about that on our website as well. So it's a great resource. We also do community presentations. So if you want us to come out and talk to your group, whether that's at a senior center, you know, church groups, whatever, we're happy to come out and talk about whatever issues are kind of top of mind. And sometimes we can even get awesome partners like the USPIS to come out and talk about specific things as well. So you'll get all of that information, like I mentioned, in an email after this event. So I would like to turn it back to Postal Inspector Carrier if you have any kind of parting thoughts or final tips. I know you already covered so many awesome tips, but if you have any kind of final thoughts to share with people today.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that, you know, unfortunately, there's just so many scams out there, and just people just, if there's like an inkling that you just feel something isn't right, you should trust your instincts, because they're probably right. And again, just if not only just looking out for yourself, but please look out for other people as well, because there are signs when people are involved in these things. They become isolated, and it makes it worse. So I think just sometimes somebody bringing up, like, is something going on, might be helpful to figure out if somebody's involved in something that, like I said, once you get in it, it's hard to get out. And I really encourage people to look out for their friends and family as well. But thank you very much for inviting me. Yeah, we're available anytime as well to do outreach presentations, a little bit more in depth too on specific topics. So yeah, just you know, let us know, and through Courtney as well, she can reach out to me. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. And next month we'll be talking with DATCAP about kind of the year in review, the biggest scams we saw. You'll get information about that webinar in the email. And until then, hopefully you can join us. Otherwise, if you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. So stay safe, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Inspector Carrier and everyone who attended, and have a great day.